Yeah, hello.
Welcome, Sidharth.
Thank
Thank you very much for accepting my invitation to for the interview. Uh, Welcome to Classical Guitar Society, and as I had mentioned, it is an effort to bring all like-minded people of all levels. This interview, as I had mentioned in the group, is like to contact performers and teachers to find out their thinking on classical music, classical guitar music, with regards to various subjects that will go on. Siddharth, uh, I would like to uh, ask you to tell me your name, where are you from in India, and where are you now?
Right, so I'm Sidharth, and Sidharth Sarangi is my full name. And I'm from Odisha actually, but I have been living in Bangalore for the like a big part of my life. So yeah, I went to school in Bangalore, and it's a normal Bangalore life. Yeah,
Okay, what are you currently doing academically, or
I
what are you doing?
I just finished my 12th. Now I have a lot of exams on the way to go to college. The usual entrance exams like JEE and we have NEET and
Wow,
all
I
sorts of.
think I caught you on a busy time.
Definitely very anxious and hectic period, but it's fine. I
Yes, yes,
mean, it's a good
yes,
break from the usual problem solving and yeah.
yes. Um, with regards to classical guitar, um, you are very young. When did this thing, classical guitar, come into your life? I mean to say, people go into Bollywood music, Hollywood music, folk music, but why classical guitar, and when did it come?
So actually, it's very funny because I mean many people would not know this. Is maybe a surprise. I actually started out with the keyboard. That so I still regard the keyboard as my primary instrument, which is now a piano. I would say. Um, it was basically when I was in like first standard. It was a Casio 30 keys like toy kind of keyboard. So and on that I just learned some basic Bollywood tunes and yeah, those kind of things. And then one day I just I mean I just saw some maybe videos, or I don't remember exactly what got me interested in guitar, but I started taking guitar lessons, and that was very much the normal acoustic Bollywood four chord, those kind of things. But then and then that sort of progressed. I developed an interest in the rock and pop style, the hard rock, maybe not AC/DC, but then that sort of genre. And then eventually I started giving those Trinity graded exams in rock and pop. And after I finished my like grade 8 in that, which is I think the last in rock and pop, like there's nothing after that in rock and pop. So then the Trinity representative in Brigade Road, like in the office, she told me like what would you do next after this? Because this is the last in grade 8 in rock and pop is the last. And then she recommended a very great guitar teacher, Thangadre Samuel. And Thangadre Samuel says he's like a very good mentor. And so I contacted him, and that's how I started my journey. Actually, I shifted from the rock and pop era to the classical era. So then I started my guitar lessons there in classical. And by that time, my left hand was already very sort of, it was fine, it was up to a decent level, but my right hand, from pick to finger style, it was sort of a big jump. So that we had to work on quite a bit. But I directly gave my grade 6 first, and then I gave my grade 8 in classical as well. And yeah, after that we got COVID, like COVID attack, yeah. So everything
So,
halt,
how
yeah.
many years you are into classical from the time you met
Yeah,
Tangadurai sir?
I forgot the dates. Yeah, so basically, 2016 was when I gave my rock and pop grade 8, and immediately after that, like maybe a gap of 6 months, I would have started my lessons with Thangatay sir. So that was yeah, and then in 2019, I gave my grade 8 in classical guitar. Yeah.
Wow, it is such a short period of time. It's really amazing
Yeah,
at
I
your
mean,
age, and
I've been
you.
playing classical guitar for I think five and a half years, like 6 years.
Okay. very good.
losing count. Yeah.
Now, uh, we have, as you know, a lot of repertoire. We have the old repertoire of, real classical music, Baroque music, Romantic era, and then we have now the modern composers. If you have to choose between the old era and the new, there are lots of new Dominiconi, Leo Brouwer, and so many others are there. Which you are more inclined towards, or which you prefer, old repertoire or the current contemporary repertoire?
That's a tough question to pick sides. Okay, so I mean, as a guitarist, it's very important to have like a broad spectrum sort of thing. Like so, all the way from maybe John Dowland and Fresco Baldi, like the Renaissance times, to the very newest, like maybe some composer in 2021, maybe Stephen Goss. Yeah, so it's important to be able to play everything. But
Okay.
I mean, a preference wise in guitar music, like if it was piano music, I definitely choose the more modern music because I mean, I mean, there's no denying that a piano is definitely more versatile in those qualities, right? Like to represent some like very heavy harmonies or those kind of things. But in guitar, I definitely choose Bach and the very old, not the romantic period, but a more older approach, like the very structured counterpoint and those kind of things. But
Okay.
Leo Brouwer, yeah, definitely Leo Brouwer sonatas, and I really like. I forgot the piece. That's Aquarel, yeah. Sergio Assad, Aquarel, yeah.
Yes.
So there are some really amazing modern compositions, which I mean, yeah, really fantastic repertoire as well.
uh, what are your thoughts on memorization? Because when a performer walks on stage, and I've seen some of your videos, they are very nice, and that's from that time I became your fan and I added you to the group. uh, uh, some pieces of music, even big time players, they look at the sheet music, or nowadays it's the iPad and all that. How do you approach memorization? Do you start memorizing from the day one when you start a piece, or it comes automatically, or over the period of few weeks and months?
I mean, personally, I'm a very bad sight reader, so I can't read music. Like if you just attack me with like a very complex score, I can't just read it out. But sometimes when you have the sheet music in front, especially in maybe Bach or some very lengthy works, and especially in a concert setting where you have to play like for 1 hour, it definitely helps having the score in front just for a reference. Nobody can sort of read directly from the guitar score. It's just a reference, maybe like there may be some reference points, like maybe you get a memory lapse or something, and then you just quickly see which position, and then you just quickly jump there. Those kind of things, those kind of small details. But I don't think there's anyone who can actually sight read a Bach suite, or I mean, that is I don't, maybe there is some exceptional genius somewhere. But yeah.
So I mean to say, do you play that piece over and over again to memorize it, or you start taking it bar by bar, line by line,
No,
and get it in the system first?
I
Mhm.
generally just attack the whole piece and play it again and again. I mean, different people have different approaches. Like some people, they try to perfect each bar and then slowly work their way through the end. But I just
Mhm.
attack it in at first a very dirty fashion, like just a random sight read of the whole piece, and then eventually just perfect the more difficult parts. And I
Okay.
use a like a bird's eye approach kind of. Yeah.
Now, regarding practice, uh, some people, the classical approach is, get your metronome, get your exercises, scales, and then jump into the, warm up thing, and then jump into the piece. Do you have this daily routine, or it's like I am totally lazy, I just jump into the piece?
Yeah.
Is metronome your friend?
Yeah, metronome as a friend. I mean, I remember reading an article where David Russell wrote about Metro Man. Yeah, so in his website. So, but definitely, I mean, I would like to incorporate some basic warm up exercises. But nowadays, like especially in the last 2 years, anyone who knows JE prep would relate with me. And um, uh, I don't get more than half an hour or 1 hour to practice per day. So it's very hard to like maintain a perfect structure where you make 20 minutes warm up exercise and 20 minutes scales and 1 hour repertoire. And it's very hard to structure a practice session like that. So I just it's not a good thing to do, definitely, but I just directly start playing. Maybe with some easy pieces at first, and then some proper maybe Bach suites or those kind of things a bit later. But I
Mhm.
definitely recommend to just do a few like maybe some technical extra hammer-ons or scales or some stretches and those kind of things definitely helps. Yeah.
Um, you studied with Tangar Durai sir and Trinity College of Music. Uh, is there something that you would prefer to do differently? You can advise the beginners or even for intermediate level people, students. What would you do different that you did already? In terms of studying, which would maybe enhance the curriculum wise of the Trinity. Is it good, or you should have done something better? You
Um,
recommend something apart from the standard curriculum? Are there any books or something you recommend?
Yeah, definitely. When I was learning with Tangadresa, he started out with Karkasi, which is I think where everyone starts out, and at least where everyone should start out. It's a great book, and such methods actually really help make the rudiments very clear. So like basics, like the most basic stuff, like the key signatures or the basic positions, bar chords, and what harmonies can you use in a scale. I mean, I think there's a Melby book which also helps in the same thing. So any sort of basic approach or method also works, and the same goes with like flamenco as well, or I don't know about jazz if there's any book like that. But yeah, so there are definitely method books which are very helpful to take side by side with a graded exam course. Like the thing with graded exams is you have to just play three pieces, so it's not a rigorous or intensive course where you have to like learn the A to Z of guitar or anything. So it's definitely I'd recommend to try out some methods and all. Yeah,
Okay.
especially
Who
etudes.
is your yeah?
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt. Who is your favorite guitarist, classical guitarist?
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's so many guitarists out there. But definitely, I really respect my teacher Tangadrai sir. So he's definitely one of my favorites, at least in the Indian guitar scene. And I mean, not like there are so many great young players, like absolute like international level players. But since he's my teacher, I definitely want to pay some respect to him. Yeah, and uh, so guitar is a very very popular instrument. 800 billion people, I mean sorry, 8 billion people, and there are 800 million guitarists, beat at any level. And then obviously out of them at least 10 million, or if not 10 million, at least a million of them would be at an international level, definitely playing very good or exceptionally well. And then obviously there are the 10 or so legends, definitely on the like right on the top. And so obviously for technique, I follow David Russell. His I mean obviously there are great artists with great technique, but whatever time I get, I just watch David Russell's videos on his playing style. And for the interpretation and all, Pavel Steidl definitely. Compositional aspects, Gary Ryan, he's a genius. Yeah. So and then there are a lot of young artists. Like recently, I met in a guitar festival. I met somebody from Spain, not Spain, sorry, France. His name is Samuel Ito. So definitely check him out if anyone's seeing this. Yeah.
Okay, and if you have to choose one composer,
One composer. Can it be any instrument? Yeah, then it would be Frederick Rzewski. The spelling is a bit complicated, but he's avant-garde contemporary classical piano composer, whom I
Mhm.
really respect and really revere. Like he's a genius. Yeah.
and if there is one piece of music that you want to play on the guitar, or you are playing, or you want to learn, like some people say, oh, I should do the chacon, or some people say I will do the leyenda asturias. There is one piece of music they say, oh, this is my thing I have to. Which is your favorite piece of music which you have learned or you would like to learn in the near future, a particular piece?
Like to learn, definitely I'd like to learn the Bach partitas, as many as possible. The Bach's keyboard partitas, which some people have definitely played on guitar as well. There are six of them, so yeah. And then of course the Bach lute suites are also very great works and very standard repertoire actually. Yeah. And obviously there
uh,
are Spanish delights, yeah, Capricho Arabe or Recuerdos and stuff by Rodrigo's, Concerto Arangues, and all those things. Yeah,
Now, music qualification. Now, there are people who go the music part, this eighth grade of exams, I think LTCL, ATCL, and or I do not know the.
yeah.
And there are others who are, gone through the Karkasi method and, no examination method and all that. Then we have competitions, in Europe, there are a lot of competitions. In India, there were competitions. So it's the question is in two parts. Music qualification, is it necessary? And secondly, competitions, are they necessary?
Okay. I mean, it obviously helps having a qualification in music, and definitely for any teaching post or if I want to apply as a teacher anywhere, or definitely to just add to my let's say CV or something, it would be nice to just say that I have passed LTCL or FTCL or something. But I mean, it's a bit like a good analogy would be like, let's say if I wanted to be a like a cardiac surgeon or something, even if I had the skills to perform the surgery, I can't just cut somebody up, can I? But then if I wanted to play a great piece of music, even without any qualification, I can actually pick up the guitar and just play any piece. Like I can play a FTCL piece or I can play a grade one piece, doesn't matter, right? So it's kind of like that. So qualifications are not necessary, like they're not imperative to play guitar, but definitely helps having qualifications in many scenarios, yeah, and especially if you want to take it as a professional career, yeah, definitely.
uh, Flamenco, and jazz. uh, you know there's always been, you know uh, jazz people say, jazz is better than
Right, yeah,
classical.
yeah,
And there's always a fight, everybody knows that. Flamenco is such a beautiful art form, and very flamboyant, and it's like it's on your face, like, very impressive with all those rhythmics, and going on. Have you ever been tempted by jazz or flamenco?
definitely. And I feel as a classical guitarist, it's very important to at least learn flamenco. Jazz, maybe, maybe not, but definitely flamenco. As I mean, obviously, the flamenco culture originated in our very own Rajasthan, like in India. So, and then it sort of migrated out as the nomads went through that route. Yeah. Uh, and then it finally settled down in Spain, sort of, so to speak. Yeah. And then so obviously Spain does have the flamenco culture, but then if you just closely see the Rajasthani folk and those kind of that music, it really relates to that style or the Arabic sense. This kind of geographic sense, it relates. I mean, compared with Brazilian music, which is something different, right? So so it definitely helps learning flamenco, especially for classical guitar repertoire, where a lot of pieces have a lot of flamenco elements. Like if you were to play the Albany suite, like most of it, like the Sevilla and Asturias, they are essentially flamenco styles, right? Like they have rasguados and they have all sorts of strumming techniques, albanicos and whatnot. Yeah, so definitely helps knowing flamenco. But jazz, I mean, jazz has two sides, because jazz, when you learn jazz, it helps with all the scales, and you're the master of the fretboard. You can know where to modulate and instantly just spawn up some magic nectar sort of. And it definitely helps, but it's not a necessity. Like it's I don't feel it's you have to be a jazz guitarist to be a classical guitar, but there are some great people who manage both. Yeah. So I mean, for
When
example,
you mention, yeah, yeah,
there's
go
a
ahead,
there's,
go ahead.
yeah, there's a great artist, Antoine Boyer, whom I recently met at the same festival. He's a classical guitarist, conservatoire trained.
Yes,
He plays classical guitar, but he also plays gypsy jazz on
yes, yes. I
gypsy.
have seen him. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So it's amazing how we can manage both and relate both at a very high level. Yeah. So it definitely helps knowing, the more you know, the merrier. Yeah, the more the merrier kind of thing. Yeah.
When you mentioned folk music of Rajasthan and all that, and as you know, South American music and even European music, the composers have used folk elements
Yes.
that in their music to great success in South America. Uh, Guitarists like Carlos Barbosa Lima, Eduardo Fernandez, and all, they play those rhythms and also very well. They jazz in them, folk in them, everything.
When they play,
India is
there's
such
a
a,
natural feel,
yes,
like as if it just
yes,
belongs to them. Yeah.
yeah. So the India has got such a rich culture of folk music. All so many states we have and all that. And the great John Williams also, he removed a CD of African music. I can't remember the name of the
Yeah,
CD.
I've
Uh,
heard that. Yes.
yes. Do you think that in the future maybe our Indian composers can incorporate those folk elements and compose for the classical guitar, or maybe young guitarists like you, or even senior guitarists who have an eye for composition can incorporate those folk elements and compose pieces for the classical guitar, putting the
Definitely
Indian
yes.
folk rhythms?
Definitely, yes. And there have been instances of it already happening.
Uh-huh.
There's a Bengali piece which I don't remember the name. I can't pronounce it right maybe. And it's by Akash Saha, our very own from Calcutta. Yeah,
Yes,
so
I've heard. Yes, yes.
he's already made some arrangements and there are many more as well. And for example, like obviously it feels great to be able to represent your culture at a kind of mixed culture setting. So like for example, Gary Ryan recently completed his 10 folk song arrangements for guitar. Now it does take a lot of time from the inception in your head, like okay, I'll compose or I'll arrange a tune like this for solo guitar, and then from the time you actually print it and publish it, it does take about at least 2 years, I'd say. I don't know, maybe faster if we are like working on it day and night or something. But there have been instances of that definitely happening. And personally, I'd like to do some. I mean, I'm from Odisha, so definitely I'd like to play some Odia folk songs on classical guitar as well. It's definitely in my mind, just that I have to get some window. Maybe after my exams are over, I'll look into that. And I've downloaded
Mhm.
an app for that just to arrange the music. It's called Sibelius.
Sibelius, yeah, yeah, very fine app. Yes, yes,
Yeah, so
yes,
I want to do that, but again, like, what?
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Now, uh, coming to the last three questions, um, family, dad, mom, maybe siblings, what is their part in your musical development?
yeah,
Does
definitely.
your parents play music, or they like music? Have they encouraged you? How do you?
Yeah, so I don't have siblings, and my parents are not musicians, but my father especially, he does love music, not classical guitar music, but in general, like since my childhood, I remember like cassettes. Yeah, yeah, literally cassettes. I'm old. Yeah, I'm getting old. So yeah, like, we had a like a cassette player, and then so there was always music in the house, but nobody played any instrument. And then I was sort of gifted this baby guitar, like not even strings, you have to like press the
Buttons or
yeah,
something?
buttons, yeah. So and yeah, that kind of that may have sparked. I was like maybe 3 years old, but by the time I actually started learning on the keyboard, I was at 8 years old. So and that was in first standard. Yeah, so
Okay.
and definitely my parents have been supportive, and but I mean definitely they'd prefer if I don't take it as a full-time career.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
they have definitely been supportive in everything. Like if I want to buy a pack of strings or something, and or if I want to buy, okay, not a new guitar, but yeah, definitely they have helped a lot. Like without them, it's not possible, right? Some parents I know, like my friends, they also started out, and then they had to leave it when they reached eighth standard. No, we have to enroll you in this coaching and that, and yeah, so it happens, right? But I have been lucky to be able to continue till now. Let's see till where I can stretch it.
Okay. What guitar are you playing currently? Classical guitar, and what strings do you prefer, or it's just anything that comes your way?
I mean, there's no denying that a good guitar obviously makes everything easier and better. There's a reason why the top artists use lithium made top notch guitars. And uh, but having said that, it's also very important to realize that first comes the musician and then the guitar. So I mean, even if you give like a complete beginner a very top end guitar, it's he can't play anything on it if he doesn't have any basic training, right? So it's very important first the player and then comes the guitar. So it's always the player first and then the guitar. So I have a Yamaha. It's a Yamaha which is actually it belonged to Thangadrai sir, and then later I sort of acquired it. And yeah, so that's a Yamaha CG192S. Yeah, so it's a very good Yamaha guitar. It's good enough at least. And yeah, I play that. And strings, I always prefer lower gauge strings, like the low tension strings, lower gauge acoustic background stuff. But I prefer the lower tension strings because I mean I've not noticed any significant volume difference with the lower tension versus the hard tension strings. People do say that sometimes hard tension is louder. I have not noticed much of a difference in that. So for me, it's definitely easier because playability comes first. When you're playing some fast passages or something, you want to minimize your like efforts, right? Obviously. I prefer normal tension strings, and there's no particular like it has to be carbon or it has to be this or that. I mean, I always think a good musician can make music out of plywood, like just bang on the plywood, make some beautiful rhythms, you know.
Now, in this day and age of social media and AI is the new thing, coming around, going to replace humans and all that. The You are a very young person, you're a young boy, uh, and what do you think is the future of classical music compared to all this thing noise that is going around? Some good, some bad, no doubt. Some pop tunes are really good, complex. Where do you think the classical music is going, and what kids like you, do you have any friends who are really into classical music, or you're just a loner, one guy out there?
Yeah, I'm actually the loner, solitary one guy out there. But anyhow, but speaking of the trend, sort of like if you just think about it, like Bach's music, it has survived 400 years. So I mean, I don't think it will just randomly fade away just because of some pop culture and some cool gimmicks and online or through maybe Facebook or Instagram. I don't think it's going to die that easily. If it, especially if it has lasted for 400 years already. But definitely, it's a very selective community that does enjoy this and appreciate this music and actually understands its profundity. I mean, it's very easy to just play four chords and just entertain 1,000 people easily, right? Or just play some Bollywood and just sing and just make people. I mean, that's the purpose of music, right? Just to make people happy and enjoy. But then sometimes it's also important to sort of reflect on the depth or sometimes why this harmony changed to that or why this key modulated to this and how that affects it's sometimes worth thinking about this profundity in the music or the depth which causes there's a reason why some music causes certain emotions in us, right? So I feel that's very important, apart from like obviously it's
What kind of emotions it instigates in you? Do you play for spirituality? Do you play for love? Do you play for what are the emotions that go into you when you play the classical guitar?
Uh, Definitely
Or is
good.
the pure sound of the timbre?
Not a pure sound, definitely, but it should be all. Like I feel a good composition should have, again, a broad spectrum. Like it should have elements of love, elements of transcendence, the spiritual aspect, which I don't particularly understand at this stage, but uh, love, definitely, passion, and all those, anger, sometimes fear. And very less music does make fear, and it's very hard to make on the guitar. Of course, there are great composers who have done it, but everything, like all these things. And then there is programmatic music also, which reflects the real life scenarios through music, maybe traffic, or maybe like Gairan wrote a piece, Junglescape. It reflects a jungle scene. Like when you hear it, you feel like you're in the jungle, listen to crickets and monkey noises and bird noises and all that. So yeah, definitely that aspect also. But music, classical music won't fade. I'm pretty certain of that. Maybe we'll have 100 people in the audience and that might diminish to 50, but it'll not just completely die off. There'll be people who will do this and continue to do so, regardless of the pop and headbanging stuff on Instagram. Yeah.
But why Western? Why not Hindustani? Why did you go towards Western? There was Hindustani, is there, was there, is there.
I had a sort of 2 year learning of Hindustani vocal, and I was not good at it. That's the only reason. There's no other way to, there's no other way to put it. I was just not good at that. Yeah, I gave an exam also in that, like Gandharva. It's called. Yeah, it's just long back, and I almost failed in that. It was it was not a. And I mean, definitely classical music does incorporate a lot of. The Indian things. Even the Western composers are incorporating a lot of Indian elements in their music nowadays. But yeah, it was just a random path, sort of. Maybe I
Yes.
don't know. There's no particular reason as to why I don't hate Hindus. I in fact really enjoy listening to different ragas and all. And there are a lot of, like, Johannes Muller is doing a lot of compositions on Indian ragas, and it's very interesting. And there are like hundreds and maybe 200 ragas in the Indian scene, Hindustani music, Carnatic music, folk music. It's all very vast, and it's kind of nice to just steal some ideas from everything and mix it into a nice piece, or something which I'll do in the future, maybe.
So Siddharth, it has been a wonderful time and interview with you.
Mm.
I wish you all the best for all the competitive exams that you are going to attend, and I wish you all the best for the future. And I hope to see some more videos, and also maybe have the pleasure of seeing you live sometime in the
Definitely,
near future. Yeah, I
definitely.
wish you all the best, and thank you for accepting my invitation once again.
Thank you so
The
much.
group, the
I'm
group
very
will be
happy.
delighted to hear this interview.
Oh
Thank
yeah,
you very much.
yeah. And speaking
Thank
of
you.
the group, you had some suggestions for the group as well. So, uh,
Yes, yes. If you have any suggestions, please, yes, please.
what I wanted to say is there are some really amazing. Like we have the best guitarists in India in one place. So it's like a concentrated place of classical music geniuses. Yeah. So I mean, there's a great way to exploit all that, right? So we have to think about that. So I mean, we could do just Zoom meetings, like group Zoom meetings monthly or something, and anything really works. And we could just keep up that spirit. Meet maybe from time to time, and then everyone could contribute 5 minutes of what they learned over the past month, or maybe playing, or maybe just a workshop or anything. So definitely looking forward to that as well. Yeah.
Yes, I will definitely. We have just started off, and I'll definitely, uh, 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 of course, through your video, and also I will recommend to the other members, and we'll definitely see that we incorporate as many ideas from all the members.
Yeah,
Yes,
would be nice.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you
Cool.
very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.